You were just...
Yeah, throwing them threes up. 33 today.
You were just here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I can't do math.
Oh, it's 2, yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to be back here again so quick?
Well, this happened before, but the biggest thing was just adjusting to the flipping and the flopping of the time zone changes, and then with daylight savings time and stuff. So going back to Florida, 3 hours and getting that whole sleep schedule adjusted was just, it's weird.
That's worse than the flip flop of the opponents.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Yeah. For me, as far as that goes, just because your sleep and your training is huge, especially part of like your recovery, and then getting that circadian clock back in rhythm and ready to fight, and the body. It's just that was the kind of the weird thing, I guess. Going back ahead of time like 3 more hours, and then coming back 3 hours, and then doing it again, and then coming, and then most of my coaches were in New York last week for the corner people. So, trying to, get the work in with them. It was a clusterfuck. So.
Was there any discussion about just staying here?
Well, I wanted to get, I wanted to get work in with my guys at the gym. If the opponent had probably stayed the same, then I would have just chilled here. Or I would have just went back to Mississippi and got a little bit of work in there. But I went all the way back to Florida to try to get a little bit better quality of training in that week, just to prepare for a different opponent.
So how different is this opponent, and how different? I mean, how were you able to prepare in just a few weeks?
In the grand scheme of things, they're similar, I guess you would say, as far as what I plan on doing. There's the big differences is just the they're skilled in a little bit different areas, and then they're flawed in a little bit different areas. So finding key points of attack and like training that was a little bit different. But it's not like when I say they're similar, it's not like one was a heavy striker and the other one was like a collegiate wrestler the very next week. It's not having to change the game plan up that much, but just finding a few different key points that we want to use to attack in this fight. So.
How long did you know that you were going to have this opponent? Because I know that at first you thought maybe you were going to be just push the same fight back. When did you know it was going to be a whole new opponent?
I think it was later on that Saturday, that day. So, I told my manager, I said, just give me a day to kind of look over some of the film and my coaches as well and see what we got here, and then we'll determine if this is the best move or not.
Do you think this was a better fight for you?
In ways, yes. In ways, in some ways, no. I believe he's a more dangerous fighter, for sure. I believe that the other fight, I was really looking forward to that fight. I'm looking forward to this fight too, don't get me wrong, but that one I was training for 8 weeks, and I planned on having a field day with that fight. I was really excited, and then this one got thrown in the mix, and I started looking at all the positives that could come from this bout. And he's a really game opponent, and I think he's gonna bring out that dog in me, and I'm excited about that aspect of it.
Do you want to try and get that old fight back, or is that you've moved on already?
Yeah, I definitely want that fight back. It was very frustrating, and I'm not a doctor, but I read the statements that he released, and to me it seemed like he may have had an anxiety attack, but whatever. I want that fight back, though, for sure. And my coach is back there shaking his head. He's like, he's like, be nice. Be nice. I'm trying to be fucking nice right now because that was really frustrating. And I didn't get to see my kids for 2 months, I was training. And then that fight got pulled, and I had to call my son and tell him I wasn't going to be home for another 2 weeks. And have an opponent change, and and having to prepare for that, and all these other things that come with it. Someone pulling out on the day of the fight, and someone's got to pay the piper. You know what I'm saying? And I want to take it out of his ass. So, I want the fight.
So you mentioned, the fight falling through day of. I know that happened to you once before. At what point do you feel like you can be secure that this fight's going to happen?
I mean, I don't know. I can't tell if I'm going to walk out there and I don't even want to say that. Yeah, just anything can happen, We talked to my manager, just kind of put a little insurance plan behind that because I didn't take my full show money the last fight. Because I was going to get to fight in 2 weeks, so it's kind of part of the whole deal with that. But I told him, I said, if this fight falls through, I want it to be insured that I will get the full show money from the last fight. You know what I mean? That's all I want. Like if some reason the fight we don't make it to the scales, don't technically weigh in, I still want the show money. You know what I mean? Because I had the option of taking the full show money and going home. Not doing this fight at all, or they gave me, partial of it, and then I get to fight for my full purse this fight. So, Mick knows how I am. I fucking don't ever turn down any fights. They're just gonna call me short notice Sherman from now on. You need a fight, just call me.
And my last question for you: we lost a legend this week with Rumble. I'm curious if you have any words you want to say about him.
It's crazy. We was talking about that on the way over here, and I didn't even realize that he was sick. I didn't have a real close relationship in particular with Rumble because I had just got to Killcliff last year. But me and Rumble had spoke before when he was working with BKFC, and he was always real kind to me. And prayers to his family and all his loved ones, and everybody that knew him. Crazy. Life is short. And that's why I'm out here just trying to make the most of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.